r/Nosleep. Posted by u/not_necessarily. I got a job as night security on a train. I'm gonna die on this train. Part 3. I went around the train and it was sparsely populated. It wasn't exactly packed but it wasn't empty either. Everyone was tired from their work and they were returning home. I was just starting my shift. I went back to the security cabin and the door clicked shut behind me. Auto-locking door, that should be useful, I mocked as I sat down rereading the rules. The train ride was just dark tunnels. After a long and uneventful ride the train finally reached Station 6. I got out of my security cabin and ushered everyone off the train. I then did a round of all 4 cabins and had to wake up a few sleeping passengers and get them off. The train doors then started to close and it was just me and whatever else was on this train. I quickly set up my watch to alert me every 15 minutes to do my rounds. So far so good. Rule 1 tick. Just then I realized that I messed up Rule 2. Chills went up my spine and my heart rate quickened up. I was at the end of compartment 1 so all I had to do was go through the seating areas and then straight through to the security compartment. I suddenly started running as soon as the plan formed in my head. I had broken the rule but that doesn't mean I just stand there and wait for something to get me. Suddenly I slammed into a wall. I was momentarily dazed as I really wasn't expecting a wall to be here. No, hold up, it wasn't a wall. I had just crashed into a horrifying creature. It was of a deep black color. No, not black. It was the color of nothingness. The total absence of light. It had bright red eye-like protrusions all over its body. In place of a face it had tentacles bulging out of a deep hole in the place of a mouth. Since it was hunched over I felt its wet slimy tentacles in my hair. This was the same creature from the subway station. This time I wasn't in the safety of my booth though, and nothing is going to stop it from getting me. I was frozen in fear for a while until the creature let out a deep guttural growl. It kicked me out of my state and I started running for my life. It reached out its claws and scratched me painfully on my chest. It made the sound of chalk on a chalkboard as the rough tips of its claws ripped through my shirt and shredded my skin. Warm blood leaked out of my chest. I continued running and clutched my chest, that was now searing with sharp ugly pain. I got into the security compartment just in time. The creature made a massive bang against the door. I quickly reached into the cabinet next to my desk and found a first aid kit. The creature continued repeatedly banging itself into the door. At some point it went away. After ripping open my shirt, I applied the unmarked lotion I found onto my skin and wrapped bandages around my torso. The cuts weren't too deep but they had mangled the upper layer of my skin and covered a great area. It stung like hell. I picked up my water bottle with shaking hands and took massive gulps. I had already broken the second rule on the list. Suddenly, I heard loud and joyous talking outside my security compartment. I knew there was a rule relating to that so I pulled out the rule sheet from my pocket and scanned it. Yes, I have to disable the doors to compartment 4. I quickly looked at the camera feed and saw a group of people sitting at the back of compartment 4 in the upper story. I swear one of them glanced up at the camera as I disabled the doors. Their face sent chills down my spine and it was not because of their expression. It was because he looked exactly like me. No, he was me. And then all 4 of them looked up. They were all copies of me. Their wide creepy grins sent chills down my spine. They suddenly got up and walked towards the travel doors in unison. Luckily I had disabled the doors as soon as I heard the voices. And guess what? Just then my watch beeps to politely tell me that it was time to take a relaxing round of the train. I picked up the knife from the drawer and made sure I had disabled the doors to compartment 4. All the other compartments were empty but when I reached the end of compartment 3 where the travel door was to compartment 4, I saw a sight that snapped my mind. It was a sight that keeps replaying in my mind until now. There they were, the 4 copies of me, pressed against the glass. They looked demented and drugged. Drool dripped down their faces and their eyes went wide at the sight of me. Then as if on cue, they all started fighting each other. They fought like wild dogs, biting each other, poking each other in the eye. Blood dripped on the floor like from a tap but they continued. They mutilated each other. I could not continue watching. They punched and kicked each other until their faces were unrecognizable. I turned around and ran straight for the security compartment. I started crying hysterically inside and pulled at locks of my hair. Why the hell did I come back to this job? What are those things? What is this train? I screamed at the walls but they remained silent in response. I started punching the walls and didn't stop until I noticed blood on my fists. Then I wrapped my hands in bandages. I swear I look like a zombie apocalypse video game character. I am currently typing this up to calm down. So far I have only broken 1 rule. I'll have to go on another round soon. I'm going to keep updating if I'm alive. Pray for me. I want to get out of this hell. As soon as I posted the last post, the train stopped at station 8. I realized that at the next stop I would have to get on and off the train. It was also time for another round, so I came out of my security compartment. I looked outside the train doors to check out the station. It was kind of the same as my local station but had no guard booth. How lucky, no one has to work here. My thoughts were interrupted by a fast dark figure that darted into the train. Wait, shit, there was a rule about that. Suddenly I remembered the rule and I quickly scrambled for the upper seating area of the first compartment. I had already found myself a very good hiding spot. I slipped under the seats and held my breath. I heard thundering footsteps walk towards me. I also heard heavy panting, the sound someone would make after having nearly drowned. I felt something wet near my feet and looked down. I just suppressed my scream as I saw the pool of blood spreading on the ground. It was a mesmerizing deep red color, consistent throughout. The blood was thick and it oozed slowly to spread across the floor. The footsteps then went away. The train doors closed and the train got moving again. I got up from under the seat and there was no pool of blood on the floor like I was hallucinating. I composed myself and decided to continue my round. As I reached the end of compartment 3, I realized that the travel doors to compartment 4 were now enabled again. I pulled out the sharp knife that the train guys had provided me and cautiously walked inside. The compartment was empty. Suddenly my eyes caught on the bloodied seats. I quickly pulled out the microfiber cloth they had provided me and scrubbed the seats. The blood went away pretty easily. As I got out of compartment 4, the automated PA system announced that it was station 9. Big deal. I continued making my way back and realized too late. Shit. The train doors closed and I cringed at what was going to happen next. Then as all lights in the compartment snapped out and all the travel doors locked themselves, I went to the entrance doors and tried to pull them open. They wouldn't budge. I heard low moans in the dark. There were many of them. They rose out from under the seats. Some held weapons and some were barely able to stand. Some were crawling. Then they started speaking. "We died here, you must too." I got desperate and grabbed the fire escape hammer. I smashed the glass of the travel doors. I hit and hit till there was enough of a gap for me to get through. Luckily, the train hadn't started moving yet and so I ran out onto the platform and entered via compartment 3. While I was doing that, one of the zombies grabbed my ankle. Its grip was weak and I pushed away. I would never forget that icy grip. The train was completely normal. I walked back into compartment 4 and there were no zombies. The only proof of what had just happened was the smashed travel doors. At this point, I was in shock and I couldn't really feel anything anymore. I went back to the security compartment. Suddenly I realized that the train was still stopped at the platform. I went into the driver compartment and realized there was no driver. I got into the seat and got the train running again. The train was set to work automatically, so all I had to do was start it up. I rested in the security compartment for the next 15 minutes before my round. I scrolled through Reddit, not even reading anything. I couldn't comprehend the words on the screen. My phone was the only anchor to reality I had. Other than that, it was me, the train and the set of rules. My time was up and I got up for another round. I really hoped nothing happened on this round. I couldn't deal with anything else. I walked out of the security compartment and walked into compartment 1. I heard a faint sobbing and immediately looked to my left. There was a girl in a distinct red dress. She had her face buried in her hands. I immediately looked away. The girl shouted after me, "Have you seen my mommy? Have you seen my daddy? Help me? I'm lost. Why don't you help me?" I practically sprinted as her voice turned demonic. And guess what happened? Guess my luck? The lights went out and the train came to a stop. I quickly shifted to the seat closest to me and sat down. I heard the girl's voice again. "I'm coming for you." Then she giggled. It sent chills up my spine. I then also heard soft moans in the dark and felt the same icy grip on my ankle. I shivered and started crying. "Just leave me alone." I stammered at no one in particular. I heard laughs and giggles all around me. They were mocking me, laughing at my despair and misery. Anger surged through my veins. I punched aimlessly in the air, hitting nothing. Suddenly, I felt something next to me on the seat. Millions of bugs crawled up my legs. I screamed for help but no one came. The lights came on all at once. There was nothing on me and no one around me. I quickly got up and went to finish my rounds. I passed through the compartment checking each. Compartment 2 checked. Compartment 3 checked. Compartment 4 checked. I realized too late. The travel doors closed behind me. I pounded on the travel doors and swore loudly. I grabbed another fire hammer and smashed the glass windows in the travel doors. I could only fit my hand through those. I hit the door more, but the door wouldn't budge. After several hits, the metal was barely dented. And then I heard the noises behind me.